So, hello and welcome back to the new episode of Frankie with College Vidya. And today we have got engineer on our show. So, he is a software engineer who's working in San Francisco, California, and he's going to give you an insight about his career and how he is working in his profession so that you can make a better decision about your career. So, hello Akshay.
Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, excited to share anything that you guys want from me. So I'm all yours. All
I have always seen you as a very passionate and enthusiastic person. I mean, in your stream, in the profession that you have, and you are. Stop being modest.
okay, I'm flattered. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. But yeah,
So yeah. So tell us about your journey and talk about Unfound. I mean, what did you learn from there and how was your journey there?
you know the state of engineering in India, right? There are so many engineers and stuff, and that too computer science engineering. So it's not like a niche thing that I'll be talking about today. But at the same time, I think it's important, even though computer science, computer engineering is very popular, everyone has heard of it. But to see what actually lies ahead, sitting at let's say 12th standard, 11th standard, this is I think very not many people know about it. At least when I was there, I didn't know anything about it. So similarly, preparing 11th, 12th JEE, IITs, and this bunch of classes and all those things going on. And yeah, like 99% of the people I didn't really get into IIT. So even though I tried, if not IIT, most the second option is going for engineering, colleges, normal other than the premier institutes.
Oh,
So
what was your where did you graduated from?
after giving like when selecting colleges, actually got into Vidyalanka, comes under Mumbai University. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
college in Mumbai, in Badala specifically. So and I chose computer science engineering or computer engineering as my stream.
Okay.
So the main focus in 11 12 is math, science, physics, chemistry, all those things. And I
Yeah.
actually loved chemistry. But that time I was like, okay, I loved studying chemistry. I want to become like the obvious next thing that was I'll become a chemical engineer. So that's what people who love chemistry, they follow. There's a thing called chemical engineering,
Right.
which very interesting for me at that point. So where I'm coming from is that not many colleges offer chemical engineering as a course. So the seats are less. And I would say even not many students opt for that as well. So
Okay.
you can see right now, like I said, people like physics, math, not many people like chemistry. So
Hmm.
naturally there's lesser competition and lesser seats, which kind of makes sense.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was kind of pretty adamant that, hey, I want to do chemical engineering, I like chemistry and all that. But my parents, they were against this. Like, typical, Indian this mentality,
Indian parents.
computer science. Wherever there is the typical saying, right? Beta engineering kar lo, bahut scope hai.
Hmm.
Similarly, inside engineering, there is computer science kar lo ya electronics kar lo, bahut scope hai. That's how it works. And chemical, my parents were kind of, hesitant to use the word. Not against it,
Yeah.
but hesitant. Like they were like, are you sure? Have you talked to someone who is a chemical engineer? And I think this is very important because this is a lesson which I learned now, which is like 6, 7 years later. Actually, I read it in a book. Okay.
Okay.
The saying it goes this way that you oftentimes think that you want something, but when you go ahead, right, and that's not what you actually want. You think you want something, but it's not what you actually want. At that time, because of the circumstances, you feel that okay, you want that, and you feel that okay, this is it for me.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's better to just take a step back. And when a lot of people say something, okay, I didn't understand back then. I was very angry and stuff. And my parents said, okay, just choose computers, what scope hai? And I was like, okay, whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's not like a very defined a 12th standard, right? So
Right. I think a lot
yeah.
of people choose different stream and then later on in later stage, as you said,
Mm,
that you think you are good in this and this is what is meant for you, but you later on decide on the circumstances decide that you have to do something else, and and then you suddenly start liking it. I mean,
yeah, just try different things. You never know. How do you know you like something unless you've tried it or seen it?
right.
Yeah, so this is what happened. Second year onwards took courses. It's like you take one step, you learn more about it, and then you
Yeah.
get more interested in stuff, and you start doing more things. Yeah, so that's what happened in second year, third year, fourth year. I started doing like side projects,
You
and luckily
started
we are living in
enjoying.
the same thing, and we live in an era with internet being everything is available right now,
Mm.
YouTube and stuff. That we're very everything like privileged would be a word that we have everything in front of us.
That's
It's just a matter of just taking that step.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. Second year, third year, fourth year. A lot of things. I got interested, and I realized that okay, this I like doing it. I feel I'm good at it. It gives me a lot of options as well. So it's not like if
How do you become a data scientist? I mean, that's a huge, I think it's a profession out there right now, and it's a very high paying
correct.
profession. Does it
Mm.
come somewhere in an engineering context? Is it like, if somebody who's from an engineering background, a computer science background, will it be an amp to the person who pursues data science later on?
It's a good question actually, because not just for data science, many other fields within computer science, which the same logic applies. What I'm going to say at the base of it, right? It's all you're writing code at the end of the day. Even a data scientist is writing code.
Mm.
Even a computer scientist is writing code. Even someone working in hardware, right?
Mm.
Even he's writing code. That and the things that you need for data science is a solid foundation in mathematics, which a lot of people don't understand. So machine learning, artificial
Mm.
intelligence, data science, this all come under one umbrella, which is a field which requires which is like developed on top of mathematics, learning how to write code, and second is learning maths, algebra, linear algebra. These concepts, this is what you use to write code on. So a data scientist will use all these formulas and stuff like that to write a code to, make
So
a
you started as a machine learner, if I am not wrong. You
yeah,
did.
so it's called machine learning engineer.
Yeah,
So
machine learning engineer.
yeah.
So that is how I know you. And so, what made you leave that and get into computer science and
And the main reason was this, because I did not have a foundational knowledge in mathematics to be like a very, there are two aspects of it in machine learning, being a machine learning engineer or data scientist. One is the research aspect, where if you have a good foundational knowledge, you can, research or build your own algorithms. And the second is the implementational side of it, the more engineer part of machine learning engineer, if you know what I mean. Their job is to implement stuff. Okay, build things. So one is just researching, writing in theory, but coming up with algorithms.
Right.
Second is using these algorithms as a code and making sense out of it, making it, using it in a product. I realized interest or where I was good at was the second part of it, not the first.
Okay.
And to actually go back and start all over again, I felt it was like a big. I don't think I had. That was one of the reasons.
How did you decided on going abroad and studying, and what was the process like? And I think this is something that everybody would like to know.
So usually there are two ways to tracks that people usually take students. Right? After engineering, during the third, fourth year, right, you decided that okay, I just directly want to go pursue my masters without doing a job. Can do that, right? Or I took the other way. I thought of getting some experience doing a job and probably going. So which would help me. So I had that thing in my mind. But I wasn't sure, so I just went ahead. I looked for a job. But usually during your third and fourth year, you give your international exam. They're called GRE and TOEFL. They're accepted throughout the world. So based on that, once you take the score, give the exam, get your scores. You can apply for universities based on the score. Surprisingly, the exam that is there, it's not technical. So it tests you on math and English. So it's
and is it like you
international.
need to have some work experience beforehand?
Yes, so that's like widely debated thing, So some people, in general, the consensus is that it's better to have some work experience before going for masters, because when you complete your masters and look for a job, be it in the United States or Australia or Europe, so GRE exam is out of 340, 340 marks, and it's equal 170, 170. Like I said, 170 is for maths, it's called quants, and 170 is for English. So it's an addition of both, and your final score is out of. I got into Northeastern University, which is in Boston, in US, which is known it has a good computer science score. So I was happy. So that's what I was saying. Like 320 around that range gets you into a very very good university.
And you have reached in a position where you're working with IBM right now. I mean, how much of an effort did you take to reach there?
Right.
How did you get into IBM?
At least for computer science, electrical or tech, right? It's called the land of opportunities, because there are a lot of tech companies here, like all the popular names, Twitter, Google, Facebook. They were started in the US, so their headquarters are there. So naturally, they have a lot of job openings over here, and they pay very well. The work environment and everything it's like they compensate their employees very well. So for software engineers or electrical engineers or tech guys, right, or data analysts or anything. US is a very, very safe and a good place to be after your master.
The working
That's
environment is nice.
yeah, basically. So it's like the tech environment is there over here, and I would in fact say it's same in India as well. So even India, it's like the tech scene, it's quite booming. So I have my friends and the packages they're getting, right. It's really amazing what's happening there. In fact, it's even better than what's happening in Europe, Australia, or things like that. Where because even though they are like developed countries over there, the job scene it's not that good. It's also difficult getting a job in, let's
Mm.
say, Europe or Australia, because the tech scene is not that evolved over there as compared to India or US, where software is a big industry, right?
So
So
engineers should say either in India or in US. That's what you're saying.
I don't want to be biased, because I mean I've seen that life. I've come here. I've seen the opportunities and stuff like that. So I can speak for that. But yeah, in general, what I see from sitting here, it's not that much. There is still like job opportunities and stuff there,
Mm.
but comparatively lesser. And also in Europe and stuff like that, the language barrier kicks in. You know, so for example, if you want to work in Germany, you need to learn German. So
That is there. But
yeah, it's
speaking of, salary and everything, what is an average salary a software engineer gets? And I'm speaking about a software engineer in a US. I mean,
sure,
I
yeah.
know what's the projection in India and how much they are
Mhm.
getting paid.
I obviously won't say my salary, but in general,
You can
the
tell me the
yeah,
how much does a beginner get and what's the average
yeah.
you
So
get.
called new grad, the term, which is like straight after college, what you will be earning, right?
Mm.
New grad software engineer, and the salary range depends on the location in the United States. There are some places like cities where
Huh.
cost of living is higher, so
Okay.
companies pay you more for the same position. So if there are two people, one got a job in let's San Francisco, where I am, right? San Francisco being in California, it has higher taxes, higher gas prices, higher
Mm.
rent of living, cost of living. For a new grad software engineer, you can expect anywhere in the range of 130, 140, 150,000 dollars per year. Comes to only 80, 90 lakh per annum in rupees. Yeah, that's on the higher end of the scale. But if you're working in rural area, right, where there is not,
Right.
it's not a city basically, it's like a
Huh.
town. If you're working there, you can expect somewhere around 100, 120K. So the range would be 100 to 150 for a new grad
But
software.
what do you think is the best specialization to get into?
Yeah, so right now, software engineering, it's like still in demand, which I am actually surprised. Ever since
Mm.
2000, it's been growing, 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 growing. And right now, everything around you, it's all software.
Mm.
Software engineer in today's times is the safest, the most, or whatever you
And there's
define it.
always more things to learn, no? So you have a base and then you keep adding more.
Yeah, so software engineer, when I say it's very, basically what I'm trying to say, you should be good at writing code. Okay. Once you have that, you
Mhm.
have the specialization that you spoke of, right? It's very easy to juggle or jump between the two once you're in this thing. So for example,
Mm.
speaking of my this, I started it as a ML engineer, machine learning. And then I felt that, okay, I started gaining interest in something called as cloud, which is like a big thing which is
Mm.
coming up right now. The thing is happening is in the industry, everyone first had all the softwares and everything, databases on their server. In that, if you are a company, you will have all the
Mm.
software with you. Okay. But now every business or everything is moving to the cloud. Basically, you don't manage anything. You just
Right.
remote, like Facebook will have a data center somewhere in Europe
Mm.
and everything is running there. So only from your computer you can access. Yeah, so cloud is a very big thing right now. And I kind of I got interested. I wonder what things are involved. So stuff like
Right.
scripting, then understanding networking, how things work. So
Mm.
algorithms and data structures are very, very important for what we do as computer engineers or
Mm.
software engineers. And these courses or these videos or these subjects, right, are being taught in almost every computer science or even electronics course, which is like
Mhm.
for engineering, it's very basic.
Any book or any video that you would like to recommend, or things that
Uh,
a student who wants to pursue something, in software engineering, maybe cloud or maybe data. What are the
mhm.
things that he can look forward to, or he or
Sure,
she?
yeah. So actually, I would recommend. So different universities suggest for these courses, right? They suggest their own books, but there are
Mm.
like internationally accepted two or three specific books for computer science, which everyone reads, called Data Structures and Algorithms, DSA. Yeah. So the books, like most students would know that they're
Mm.
more recognized by the authors and not by the names. So I'm telling you the name. I forgot the author's name. It's
Uh-huh.
I don't know. But yeah, it's called Data Structures and Algorithms. It covers basically, it's like this 1,000 pages book.
Mm.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. I remember. It's Carmen, Carmen. That he's the author.
Okay.
So if you
Mm.
if you just tell Carmen to any someone studying or
Mm.
working in this field, he'll know that.
Mm.
So understanding how algorithms work, how basics of programming languages work. So I can name a few like Java or Python or C++. So all this might sound initially very intimidating, but just pick one. Let's say pick Java.
Mm.
Start reading the algorithms, what it is. See if you have interest. If you do,
Any book that you are reading right now, and something related to your stream, or maybe you go through every day, or it adds to your learning. Any tips and tricks for students who want to get into this, and how can they prepare themselves for a better outcome?
Sure. So one, yeah, it's a very good question, that the continual learning, right? Okay, I learned something initially which I'm using, but how do I keep
Yeah.
updating with stuff like that? Like once you learn data structures and algorithms, right? So there is, for software engineers at least, or for in general, right? There are these websites, okay? It's called LeetCode, HackerRank, and stuff like that. So what they do is ask you questions, real life questions, right? In the form of, and ask you to write a code. They'll give you a question and they'll ask you write a code for this, for solving this. It can be any imaginary problem or stuff like that. And this is a place where the things that you've learned in theory, in your books and whatever, you can apply it and start, seeing, are you able to convert it into code? Because that's what matters, right? You may know 100 things, you can't code it. It doesn't make sense. I would say this is what is very useful in your background, right, in the free time. Even I actually sometimes just pull up that website, I just start solving questions. Even if I don't have, there's no goal that I have to hit these many, just to keep my skills updated. We do this. So if students, and the biggest point is, no matter what job you want in computer science, the first thing they ask in the interview, right? I think we've missed this point. How does software engineering interviews look like? They're not going to ask you, okay, what does this mean in Python? What does this mean in Java? Tell me, what do you know? They'll straightforward ask you, give you a simple question, ask you to write a code for it. And the websites that I mentioned give you exactly that format. So basically, when you're doing this, when you're, sharpening your skills, you're also preparing for your interview.
What are the programming languages that are up in the market trend right now?
So when I was speaking with cloud, right? Speaking of the cloud domain, you need to know a lot of shell script, which is, or Linux. Linux is an operating system.
Yeah.
So like Windows. So you need to know what's happening, because most of the cloud systems, right, or the remote servers are there. They're based out. You need to know how things work in Linux. What's the architecture? What different commands? Shell scripting is a language that's built on top of it, to write programs. That's one. For machine learning and AI, you usually heavily people use Python for that. There are a lot of reasons for it, but it's also one of the most easiest languages to learn initially. Python, it's a very fun language. I personally, that was the first one which I fell in love with when I started.
You get some insight from this, and you get to know how you can proceed in your stream and your career.
Anything related to computer science or whatever. So just feel free to send me a message or email me.